Good morning. Welcome everyone to Apple Markets. My name is Chris. Thanks for joining in this live webinar where we take a look at the charts, technical analysis to be precise. First of all, be aware that this webinar is shown to a global audience. Please take a look at applemarketsglobal.com. Select your country of residence and contact the appropriate entity to find out if it is suitable for you and other details and conditions. Also, please be aware that trading for exchange and global financial markets, trading them is considered high risk, may not be suitable for everyone. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. This webinar is not advice and is for informational and educational purposes only. And by continuing watching this webinar, you agree with this disclaimer, plus you are aware of the risk involved when trading. All right, just a bit of a background into the methods we use to tackle technical analysis. Of course, there are many ways, discretionary, non-discretionary. We are more focused on discretionary using tools that we do change from webinar to webinar. Today's webinar basically is going to be more focused on wave analysis that was determined yesterday when asking you. So you decided mostly for waves, so we're going to focus on that. And but within that, there's basically a couple of things that do stay the same. First of all, is we're looking at trend and momentum and identifying that using channels, using moving averages. It's always important to know what's going on of the structure, market structure. Very important for the market structure is the trend and what is the flow of price, momentum. Then we look at basically opportunities, pullbacks, patterns. For instance, here this bounce at the 38.2 fib. Then we look at filters, support and resistance, of course, just like trend and momentum, the second crucial kind of component. And there's always this battle between momentum and support or resistance and which one will win. Here in the case of the pound, it was resistance that won because price reverted back down and it did so quickly yesterday. So we'll talk about that in just a second. Fourth, after doing the three main steps of analysis, trend, patterns, and support or resistance, we take a look at where could it be interesting to really trade, right? That the first three steps are analysis. The fourth is where do we trade? Is it a good reward to risk? What is the decision zone? What is my trigger? I could, for instance, think that the 50 fib is a good potential trade, but that could be my decision zone. But what is my actual trigger to take a trade? It could be the breakout, as in this example indicated by the purple box. So those are just a couple of the explanations that I wanted to show to you before we start this webinar, so that you have, just in case you are new in this webinar, you have a bit more background on the idea behind the analysis. All right, so today we have, as always, some red tag news events, I guess. Let's see, we already had the Swissy apparently. And what else do we have? ADP, that's the big one, and PMI on the dollar. But that's later. In London session, we do have some news events, PMI as well. That's always something you want to be cautious of. 10:30 news event on the British pound. All right, let's see. These are my other charts. Let me go to my blank charts here. Just give me a second. Now, normally I tend to get up a bit earlier in the morning. I got up a bit later, so I did not have a review of the charts as yet. So we're going to walk through the charts together. For me, the first time today, I did do the wave analysis today, but besides that, I didn't look at other things as yet. So we can do that together. Let me ask you, actually, maybe you've already looked at the charts. What do you think is going to be the most interesting currency pair for the London session, or today, perhaps? What do you think has the most potential? Normally, I get up a bit earlier, to be honest, and I already pre-analyzed the charts about an hour or 1.5 hours ago, but due to circumstances, I couldn't do that. Seems like my charts got a bit stuck, unfortunately. So just bear with me about 20 seconds, I guess. Let me reboot that. Let's see. I am not a big fundamental analyst, Alif, so these types of questions are really not good for me. I'm really focused on technicals. But if you send me an email, I'm sure I can find someone who knows more about it, and I can just send me an email and I can get more information on that for you, okay? All right, there we go. Sorry about that. No one has a pair that they favor at this moment? Nothing? Zero? Nada? Niets? There must be something. Come on, folks. Wakey, wakey. I got coffee too. Maybe you need one too. Great. Let me take a sip. Alrighty. Well, let's start with the basics then. Euro dollar. Well, euro dollar, we said yesterday, we're in a breakout potential. But if there's a bullish candle, right, or a pin bar, I'm out. Well, it didn't happen on this candle. So I had my stop loss safely above it, as you can see. But the next candle was bullish. And that's exactly when we got the bullish reversal. We got the bigger upside, remember? So that's great. Anyone who took a short got out for break even. And anyone who took the long hopefully managed to get out at the minus 61.8 target here for a good max 40 pip run. So break even and a 40 pip winner for those that joined us yesterday, perhaps, if you took this reversal candle. So we are getting a bigger retracement, as you can see. From a wave perspective, I actually labeled it at the moment, and I'll show you that live. Let me show you what I did this morning. Here you go. I actually labeled it as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this seems like a bigger correction. I think that this is an A. This is a very deep B, which is typical. It's not uncommon to have B go deep to 78.6 fib. So could this be an A and this a B and we're going to be rallying for a C? It is definitely, I think, a good potential. Now, with reversal trades, of course, it's always a bit risky in the sense. So let's see if we have anything else that supports it. Is there some divergence? Yes, there is. On the 4-hour chart, I think that is already a very strong argument. In fact, is there anything else? Yes, there is. As explained yesterday, we have a support level coming in on the daily chart. So, yeah, we have two good things. So a bit of a bounce here to go up to the next target. And now I would move that fib from here to here. All right, and you see a very neat 78.6 fib bounce. So the target, minus 272, 112, 112.20, up in here. All right, so that's basically, I think, the wave analysis at this moment. From a larger, on a lower time frame, on a larger time frame, if we look at the 4-hour chart, what we're looking at basically is either a ABC or a 1, 2, 3. Now, it could still be both because the third move here has not really gone very, very, very far compared to this move. So typically A correction is equal to C roughly. So in a zigzag, that means that price will do something like this. Now, this has already extended a bit further than that. As you can see, if you measure it, the third has gone a bit further, but only a bit. It's gone down to the 130 something level percent. So you need to go beyond 161.8. The third leg has to be basically 1.5 times more longer, at least, before a 1 to 3 is increasingly more likely. So from that point of view, it still could be both. Depends, is this the end of a massive correction and is this the start of a downtrend? Or is this downside still part of a correction and will price correct again higher? Is this just an expansion of a correction? And sometimes in wave analysis, we don't really have answers to all of these questions. We can just make an estimate what seems more likely, and sometimes it is 50-50. Sometimes it doesn't matter whether it's that or that because there's confluence at a certain bounce spot. So you have to be a bit flexible and take new information, new candles into account, and then adjust that assessment each time you get new information. So at this point, I think it could be both. What I did do is if this is a 1, 2, 3, this could be a wave 4. And in that case, these fib levels could be resistance. And you can see that the price did stop at the 23.6 fib. The next target is the 38.2 fib. I think that's the main one from a fib point of view at 112.25. All right. So that is basically the analysis. Despite the downtrend, I think up trades make the most sense. Down trades are very difficult. The only thing I would consider to trade is if price basically breaks below the bottom of 111, breaks through it, maybe goes down to 110.75, 110.50, makes a bear flag, and then breaks. That's the only way I consider shorts. Or if it gets up to 112.25 as a reversal trade. So a clear break to the downside. This is how I would use this wave analysis to make trading decisions. I need a confirmed break here because otherwise I am considering this an ABC, and it's only invalid. This ABC analysis is invalid only if price really clearly breaks through the bottom, at least preferably reaches, as I said, 110.75 and 110.50. Or if it gets to the target, right? And then the reversal is also possible. Other than that, I'm looking for an upside continuation. So let's talk about that a bit now. What triggers could we expect, or beyond the lookout, basically, right? So from that point of view, this could be already a buying zone as is. The 78.6 fib could have been one, right? But that's price has already gone there and touched it. So will it do that again? Probably not. I think that there's a good chance that this was the bounce. You never know. It could be there sometimes price really stays around a fib for longer. So it could get back to that fib. That could be an interesting buying spot with a stop loss below the bottom, right? 110 at 111, sorry, 14. Stop loss 110.90-ish. Tight stop loss, big target, right? Good R2R because we're looking then in that case at 110 reward. Let's count that. And we're looking at, let's see, 617 risk or something like that. So even if this is a 50-50 trade, let's say 50% of the time it works and 50% it doesn't. With this type of R2R, which is, well, what is it, like 6 to 1, a bit more than 6 to 1. It's a winning proposition, isn't it? So if it is a 50-50, I don't know if it is a 50-50, it's a counter trend trade, so it could be a bit less than that. But even if it's 33% chance, you get the drift. It's still, I think, a winning setup if price retests the 111. Now, here, it's only a few pips higher, so it could still be worth it. But, is it better maybe to wait for a break or wait for 88 or 78.6 fib? I think we're talking really about very big details. I think that, from that point of view, it's very small differences. But if there is a doji like this, it might be better just to wait for a bit more confirmation first. Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. What do we have here? Got dojis. We do have bearish candles. All right, we got the pivot point is at 111.37, so we're below the pivot, and we're getting down to M2, which is 111. You don't see that. I'm looking at a different chart. I don't want to overcrowd the charts here. 111, 111.19, I guess. So, well, I think that considering the bounce at the fib, I think it's worth an attempt here, maybe to scale in at least one position, and put the stop loss still below the bottom, to be honest. This is just an example right here. Could be, okay, let's put it there. right, and let's put the target here. Maybe a bit lower. Let's see. Let's go to 16. All right. Good. So let's see how that goes. The other method could be to basically, I would say, wait for a break probably of this resistance right here, which is also the daily pivot point. And that makes sense because that would be more confirmation. If you let price break above it, then kind of let it make a correction, get it basically roughly back at that same broken spot, maybe just a tad shy of it, back to the daily pivot, for instance, and then let it, bounce up from that spot. Taking a long around that green circle is a bit more confirmation, right? So that could be that could be a first entry or a second entry, depending if you take this one or if you're already in the 78.6 fib, who knows? So those could be basically potential scale-ins. This one is a bit more confirmation. This is the, let's say, bounce trade, and this is continuation trade. So you got different spots, different psychologies at different moments, right? So, but I think considering the wave analysis I just showed to you, I think that makes sense. All right, so let's move on. Let's see how this goes. Pound USD, massive downside. Now, I took the pound odd yesterday afternoon, actually, made 81 pips on that one. And I was even hesitating to move my target lower on the pound odd because there was so much momentum coming into the market that I already said, it was actually in a live webinar I was saying, like, this is going to for sure break through. Thought about it for a second and said, no, okay, I'll just grab the 81 pips. Not bad anyhow, but it did push through. Sometimes I do move the target, but it's not an easy thing to move the target because just because psychological reason on a lower time frame, you have lots of ups and downs, and then you tend to kind of get a bit nervous about the fact that I could have had profit and the traders are tracing against me. So that kind of can be a bit nervous, brings a bit nervousness. But in general, pound indeed moving down a lot, and the pound odd, of course, primarily being pushed by this pound USD. Now the pound USD, I said, I hesitated, I skipped it. Full flat, I skipped it. Also because I did see pound reversals on almost all pairs, pound yen, pound odd, pound New Zealand, pound CAD. I think almost every pound pair we looked at as a reversal. The pound USD, I decided not to skip. First of all, it's not good to take all pound reversals because if it isn't a reversal, you don't want to be stuck in all of those trades, right? And I thought the pound odd was better set up than the pound USD. But the pound USD also nicely moved down. It did break this trend line. And if you look at it from this perspective, it had, you don't see it too good here, but it had a good MACD. I don't have the MACD on, but it had a good MACD. And the hourly was retracing like this. So from that point of view, it did make good sense. And on a 50-minute chart, you see basically a good break here of this correction, right? This is a channel. It's a good pattern, actually, right there. All right, so that break either here or even here went down nicely. So as I said, I skipped this one, but I did take the pound odd. So at this moment, what does the pound say regarding wave analysis? Let's take a look. So for the moment, I don't think that this wave 3 is finished. That's why I put the Fibonacci targets here, just to show you how far it could go, because this is looking like a lot of momentum. If we look at this fall, this is very, very strong impulse. So for the moment, I do think that this is a 1, 2, and this is a truncated wave 5 that didn't break this top. That can happen, probably because there's a lot of resistance here, and it didn't have enough stamina to push through it. Sorry. So from that point of view, I think from a longer perspective, all right, that this could have finished an ABC zigzag. Within C pink, once again, we had 5-wave finished as well. And there was a truncated wave 5, which means that the wave 5 wasn't able to break above the wave 3. And that is perfectly possible. It doesn't happen very often, but it can happen. And I think that that's what happened with this one. So once we broke through this green line and this green line, as I wrote in yesterday's wave analysis, that would invalidate any bullish continuation. We got a clear break through it. So from a wave perspective, a wave 1, 2 makes the most sense here. And we're in a wave 3. So let's take a look at those targets. 144 looks like the minimum target we should expect. So let's take a look for the wave 3. How far is it? 144.70. So let's get rid of this fib, obviously, and dive back into the 1 hour chart or even the 15-minute chart. This is a big impulse. So let's try to read this a bit better. What do we got going here? All right. So within this third wave, right? This is 1, 2. We could count smaller waves. 1, 2. This is perhaps a 3. This is 4, perhaps, and we're going down for 5. All right. So 5 out of 3, perhaps. This moment seems the most likely. So bearishness definitely at this point looks good. I think that has the most sense. This is kind of like a correction at this point, as you can see. Expanding wedge, you don't see those too often, with roughly higher highs and lower lows, right? All right, so how to trade this? That's the wave analysis, I think, at the moment. I don't think there's anything to add. So trading purposes, I think that it would probably be best to wait for the break of the pattern and then use basically yesterday's approach, which is wait for the break of the pattern, the bigger pattern, and then trade the continuation. Now, but the only problem is this is quite a small pattern. It's actually a 5-minute pattern, which means a 1-minute continuation. That is a bit not so good. So let me think this through again. Let's put a fib from here to here. Oh, that's not a fib. $145. That could be a good resistance. Let me take a look at the pivot points. Bear with me, folks. Because obviously we got great momentum to the downside on the 4-hour chart. And I think it's just a question of where can you find a decent entry. Pivot point is 145.25. So I think that is a good level, 145.25. It's around these fibs as well. I think that could be the best shorting spot, the fib here or this one. Four-hour, no question, great momentum. Let me put the fib here on this candle, this big, basically as Ned would call it, Mariposa candle, I think, right? Master candle. I'm not sure when he uses. This is dominant, right? In any case. So I think 145.25 are the main resistances. 145 is actually this candle low. 145.25 is close to this fib. So and the other fibs I just showed you. All right. Now, if it doesn't get there, because this is also a pattern, so perhaps it won't get there, right? Then I think the alternative would have to be on a 5-minute chart. I would have to see a break on the 5-minute chart, a small bear flag on a 5-minute chart, and then a break of that bear flag. So it would have to be, let's see, let's zoom in here. All right, we don't have a lot of space. 145. Because of this expanding wedge is difficult because of the fact that this bottom here is basically getting lower and lower. So it's not easy. It would have to, 144 is already the target. So there's not a lot of space here if it breaks. That's the problem. If it breaks down to 144.25, then there's only 25 pips left. It would have to go up to 144.50, then bounce back to 144. Yeah, that's the only way. Break down to 144.25. Don't reach the target, hook back to 144.50 for a move down. That's the only way I guess that's possible. Is it worth trading right here? I'm not a big fan of trading it in the middle of the wedge, personally, especially not on the pound dollar as the London Open proceeds. And let's see. Let's count the waves in this triangle. This could be an A, this could be ABC for B. This could be an ABC for C. All right, so could this be a wave 1 and this is a wave 2? It's possible. 61.8, I don't know. You know, once you get in these corrections on a 5-minute chart, I wouldn't start basing too many trades on that, just on that. So I think that considering this pin bar, I'm not a big fan of it. I would rather wait, get it a bit higher, as I said, or a bit lower as it breaks out. All right, let's see how that euro-dollar is doing. It's going our way. It's kind of pushing slowly but surely, approaching the resistance. Let's see how that goes. Dollar yen also, I must admit, made a very nice downside, and yesterday afternoon I did not give that a good chance. I thought there was a much better chance for price to at least break this bottom one more time due to the strong momentum, right? So that didn't happen, and that's why I said that nothing is perfect, nothing happens 100% of the time, and it failed. It didn't break the top as I expected, as it normally in most cases does, but totally reverted. Now, one thing you could take as a kind of warning, and that's I said in yesterday's webinar too, is that if you have a triangle like this, right, then that's a great kind of thing to have, because that will give you boundaries, borders on which of the two is more likely, the upside continuation or perhaps a bigger retracement, right? So I was saying yesterday that I would like to go long if it breaks that triangle to the upside. Well, it didn't. It broke the triangle to the downside, so nothing lost there. And I didn't take the reversal, but perhaps some of you did, and you did get a good reversal trade upon the break of that triangle. So that reversal did happen at a very good resistance level. I was looking for a last push to this top, but ultimately this entire zone is a resistance zone on the daily and 4-hour chart. So what does that mean in wave perspective? That means that at this point, I think we completed 5 waves. I think we've had basically an extended third wave, which means that we've had 5 waves within third wave. You can see that we've had a blue 1, a blue 2, a blue 3, blue 4, and a blue 5. If you look at the characteristics of those waves, they make sense. Wave 2 was relatively deep. Wave 4 was relatively short, actually, for wave 4, but it was shallow. Wave 4s are typically a bit longer, especially if wave 2 is short, then wave 4 is longer. But okay, that can sometimes happen. It was shallow though, that makes sense. We had an extended 5 wave within wave 3, and actually extended 5 wave in wave 5 too. You just don't see it here on the 4-hour chart. So I do think that we completed a 5 wave. Now, if it is a 5 wave, that means it's either wave 1 or wave A. Considering the context that we finished probably a wave B here at the 38.2 monthly fib, not 100% certain, of course, but there's a good chance. Why? Because we made 5 waves here after finishing at the 38.2 fib. So combining those two elements, I think there's a good chance it's a wave 1, as I wrote here, not a wave A, what would be the alternative. And we're going down for wave 2, which means wave 2 could be deep. It can go down all the way to the 78.6 fib or the 61.8. So when the trend line breaks, there's a breakout trade, but there's also plenty of space down to those fibs. Alrighty. And when looking at the lower time frames, you see that here we got a truncated 5 as well. That's why I was expecting a break of this top, because truncated wave 5s do not happen often. So typically they do break wave 3. In this case, they didn't. So, and considering the bearish momentum, this is looking like a reversal. Especially here, you can see what a momentum coming into the market here. That looks like a wave 3, and it looks like we're going to have an ABC correction for wave 2. So this is already marked as A within wave 2. Now we're getting movements within blue A. So when we look at 4-hour chart, I think there's a good chance we're going to break through this channel and start falling basically towards these fibs. All right, the 38.2 fib could be a bouncing spot, but ultimately I think it will continue to the 50, down to the 61.8, probably, maybe even lower. So this is kind of the movement I'm expecting. Fall, correction, fall, correction, fall for the dollar yen. Alrighty. So if this is, let's see, if this is a wave 3, of at least 1 degree, then let's put the fib from here to here. $38.2 fib hit. Pound is moving down, by the way. That can happen. Let's see, 5. Let's see, I think that's 4-hour chart. It could be probably best to let this 4-hour candle close. Wait for a bit of retracement of that candle to 110.06, this 38.2 fib. I'm hesitating if this is enough pullback. It could be enough pullback, but it's a bit on the smaller side. Let me take a look at patterns quickly. This is a 50-minute pattern, so we're looking for a 5-minute pattern break. All right, so probably will have to be this. Either break this trend line on a 5-minute chart. We'll keep an eye on it. This is a bear flag on a 5-minute chart after good momentum, hitting the 38.2 fib. So break of this bear flag on a 5-minute chart, I do think could make sense for continuation down to, let's take a look. $109.16. Yeah, I think that, or the alternative would be if price does retrace in this channel higher to the 50 fib and then turns, for instance, that could be potential 2. Fib trade at the 50. Stop loss would have to be above the top though. All right, let's take a look at this pound. It seemed to be breaking, but let's take a look. No, one more bounce actually at this support line. Pound likes to make these moves ups and downs. Let's see how it goes. Once again, this blue line I would like to see broken. How about the euro dollar? Still same place. Okay. All right, so let's keep an eye on the euro dollar and the pound and the dollar yen. In the meantime, does anyone else have a particular favorite pair that they would like to look at besides these 3 majors? Does anyone have a question about the wave analysis that we just looked at? So once again, wave analysis, yeah, they're definitely subjective. But everything is subjective. Even trend lines are subjective. I think the only thing that isn't subjective is, I guess, a top or bottom, is a moving average. But even then, the importance we attach to it is subjective. So I guess that's all trading all is about, subjectiveness. To say it philosophically, it all depends on how we interpret. Basically, that's riding on experience, emotions, and stuff like that. So, but wave analysis, what it does is basically look at impulse and correction, and it labels that. So if you look at momentum and correction, if you're a trader that uses chart patterns, for instance, bear flags, head and shoulders patterns, if you're a trader that looks at momentum, looks at candles and says, "Oh, that's a strong momentum here," right? You're in fact already starting wave analysis, because what all wave analysis does is look at momentum and correction, but then it just goes and labels it. So all it does is basically, it's a jigsaw puzzle that connects the dots. It connects the puzzle pieces to make a story, in a way. It's a storytelling method. So what it does is, and sorry if people for those that already heard it, bear with me just 2 minutes here. When you look at this momentum, you then analyze, okay, this is first start of a correction, so let's label that A, right? Here we see correction, so let's label that maybe a B. But then you see that this really goes up far, so then you correct it and you say, okay, that's probably a 1, this is a 2, because the momentum is so much, that's not a C, this is a 3. So you're looking at all these pieces of swing highs, swing lows, pieces of legs basically, right, of price action. And then you're trying to compare that to the past price action and try to make a best guesstimate. So once you think it's a wave 3, then you would expect a wave 4. And once price starts to do this, you say, oh, price action is confirming the sideways move I'm expecting for wave 4. The behavior is kind of confirming what I analyzed, what I would expect it. Or, for instance, if it doesn't do that, and you put a fib from here to here, and it starts breaking below the 50, then you say, oh, it's invalidating what I expected. So I'm not bullish anymore, but I'm bearish now, because now the chance is likely it's ABC. So you kind of gain a nugget of information about future price movement, because once you tie these together, you have a potential to understand what the next move could be, and you either get confirmation or you get an invalidation, and that means either you're correct or you can start probably looking at the way around, or you're neutral. So it's a way of getting more information, and for trading purposes, you can use that to filter trades, have more confidence in trades. I wouldn't use it as a standalone trading method. Some do, but they have a lot of experience. For those that starting out, it's just better to use it as a supportive tool. Everyone can do it. It's not as difficult as people think it is. It just takes a bit of experience, a bit of practice, and as soon as you get into it, most people start to like it pretty quickly. Not everyone, but I think most who do start see that it goes pretty fast, especially if you have a bit more info, either about it from me, for instance, by using the oscillator. You can use it also to get more information about the waves. And you can basically use that as a supportive tool to trade. All right. New Zealand yen was asked for 2 times, actually. Interesting. So let's take a look. I haven't looked at this week, neither last week, I think. So let's take a look. By the way, I should mention that we do have all kind of new monthly candles, which I didn't look at yet. It's the 1st of June, so we should look at monthly candles. We got a bullish one on the New Zealand yen. We got a weekly chart looking like a double bottom here, and resistance trend line coming in like this. All right, so daily, very choppy. All right, this looks a bit of correction. We hit the minus 272 target. We're about halfway this, compared to the bottom and the resistance. Well, I don't see much in this at this moment. I see that price is moving up, hitting a target, but it's halfway this zone when looking at the blue lines. So I don't see particularly anything interesting, but maybe I'm missing something. What do you guys and girls see? Trade, IMX, and ITIN. You were asking for this one. So what do you see particular trade in it, or you just wanted me to look at it? I don't personally see something that's very interesting here. I guess you're looking for a reversal or continuation downwards. What do I think of the doji? Let's see. Is it a downtrend? Not in my opinion. I use the 4 hour for a trend though. So from my point of view, I see higher highs and higher lows, but I know that this could also be a zigzag, right? That makes sense. So from that point of view, it could be a turnaround at this spot, but a downtrend, no. I couldn't say that for a downtrend, I would need at least one higher high, a lower low, and lower high. So from that point of view, not maybe an hourly chart. Let's take a look. No, we don't have a higher high. We have a lower low, but we don't even have really a lower high yet. So this is a reversal trade, and this is a continuation of a reversal. So, but the reversal could still push lower. I'm not saying it's not impossible, but this is not a trend. This is momentum though, bearish momentum, but not a trend in my point of view. For a trend to happen on the hourly chart, I would need to see this and a turn, and then we got a trend like that. So at this point, yeah, we did get a good push here, but price is at support, halfway channel, halfway pattern on this 4 hour chart. So for me, it doesn't really look that interesting. But let's see if this is a good 4 hour candle, that does show good momentum. So bit of retracement of that candle. We could see another 4 hour candle like that easily appear, right? So that's possible. But that is a reversal trade, I think. All right, do patterns and waves mean differently in different time frames? Patterns and waves. No, that's the market is fractal of nature, so patterns and waves are always mean the same thing on all time frames. I mean, you will have different interpretations, of course, and different patterns at different points in time, but the types of patterns, types of waves are always the same. All right, let's take a look at the pound odd that I took yesterday, which I took one here, but that one I lost because I didn't put the stop loss properly. But I did say wait for the price to bounce at the 272 target and then take the continuation down to the minus 61.8. That's what I did myself on this 5-minute chart. I saw the bounce here. I was looking for a bigger bounce. That's what I got. Correction here, and I took it about here. Let's zoom in there. Somewhere in here, and took that bounce right down to the target. And you can see price made a bit of a bounce at the target. Well, I don't know if I exited there exactly. I think I exited earlier actually. Sorry. No, I actually exited here, somewhere here, I think. A bit above that target. Well, anyhow, There was so much momentum that it just blasted through that target, and it went all the way to past the -1,000 actually, almost to the -161.08. So if I had perhaps a bit more patience, but okay, that's okay. I planned to trade like that, so that's fine. But ultimately, there was a downside of 375 pips or so from very top to very bottom, almost 400. So that was quite amazing. Beautiful pound odd downside, and I was really looking for downside here actually. This looked corrective to me. There looked like a good reversal potential, and then we got this leg bounce and boom, even more downside. So how about now? I think that it can continue actually, considering this momentum, but I think we need a bit of retracement. Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. Strong momentum, no doubt about it. All right, let's put a fib from, we're waiting for a retracement here. Let's put a fib from here to here. Getting a bit of a channel. Hopefully that channel will bring price a bit higher. Let's see, it would be nice for price to get up to the daily pivot, which is 20020. No, 20010, sorry. That's quite far actually. Well, that would be ideal, I guess, if it gets up to the 38.2 fib, around the psychological level as well. But I'm not sure if it gets there. We'll have to keep an eye on it. But from a hourly perspective, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If this candle is bearish and breaks kind of through that trend line like this, then I think there is a good chance of a continuation, breakout. If this candle is doji, bullish, doesn't break through the blue line, then I think there's a good chance the price can get up throughout the day to the 38.2 fib. So let's see how this hourly candle closes. I wouldn't expect the master candle to be broken, which is this high at the moment. So 38.2 fib seems like the most at the moment. Yeah, and I think that one more break and one more continuation makes sense. So, because if you look at this, this is starting to look like more like a 1, 2, 3, considering the momentum. So let's see. This does not have to be the last push. It could be one more after that, by the way. But of course, eventually we're going to get a bigger correction. We had here basically weakness. Here we had a breakout. Here we had the pullback that we took yesterday. This is another correction. So when you have kind of smaller corrections like this 3 times in a row, there could be a fourth, but eventually there's going to be a bigger correction that is more like an hourly bear flag, for instance. And then you might get another break, by the way. So that's the only thing I want to warn for, is that this could still be okay, but the next one, the next smaller panel like this, might expand to a bigger one. Good question. Better to trade pound to yen or dollar? We can take a look at that. I just looked at the pound odd because that's the one I took yesterday, but there could be better pounds indeed. Let's take a look at that. One more question though. Do you wait for the price to break, price to close? Yes. I would like to see basically the MACD that I use to turn from thick to thin, which you don't see here. So basically, if that were to turn from thick to thin on the hourly, it would basically mean that I think we need to close near the low, definitely near the low, and we'd preferably need to close below this candle low, I would say. A close below this low and a close near the low of this candle. Otherwise, I don't think it would be enough to show momentum to the downside. That would be the minimum, I think, but we're not sure if it's going to happen. It's a couple of bullish candles already in a row. Fifth candle is important. This is the fifth. All right, so let's see. Pound weakness, though, indeed happening against all pairs. Pound yen 2, as we talked about. I think we talked about this one too. I'm not sure actually about this one. But anyhow, generally speaking, pound weakness did occur against all of these. And let's take a look at this yen. All right, let's see, we've got a pattern here. Break of that pattern. Here too, I'm seeing a repetition. I realize is that I would like to see maybe another move up here to the 38 or 50 fib. To get a bit of relief from basically get a bit of a 5-minute pattern. Basically, this is a 15-minute pattern that was broken, so I'd like to see a 5-minute pattern and a turn perhaps at some of these fibs here. Let's see if it's a bit different on pound. What do we have left? Pound New Zealand. Pound New Zealand 2. Look at the break of this bear flag. Same thing. Look at this 4-hour candle breaking through it. Here too, weakness was also. I didn't trade this one, but also was thinking about the fact that we can get an ABC. And now it's looking like more than an ABC because look how far it has extended. This looks actually maybe a tad better indeed. Pound New Zealand as compared to pound odd. Yeah, this candle is already engulfing the previous one. Murray math, if I look at the Murray math on a different chart, that is quite close to support. So that could be a bit annoying for this setup. Let's see if there's how the pound cat is doing. Pound cat broke 2, this channel. Also, yet again, showing downside. But this is a bit different. This has a bigger first leg and a smaller third leg. Do you see that? Interesting. All right, let's take a look at this hourly. I think this is an hour pattern that was broken here. So let's take a look at the 50-minute chart for the pattern of the pattern. That we unfortunately already had. That was here. We had a break of that pattern. So if we already had a break of the 15-minute pattern, there could be one more 15-minute world pattern break, but that's already a continuation. So we might need a 30 or 1 hour bear flag probably on this. All in all, I'm not sure which is the best. Pound New Zealand looks the best, but it's actually close to Murray math support, so that's a bit annoying. It also has a 4-hour pin bar. That's not really very, very strong necessarily, but it could be something to be careful of. So yes, pound is in a trend, but and a momentum, I should say, but it's a bit not as easy to trade, I suspect, as it might seem at first glance. And perhaps waiting for a pound to be able to push up here could be the better move, I think. Yeah, I think it's still early in the day. I personally like to analyze now and wait for things to develop a bit later after the news event and stuff like that anyhow, but I think that probably at this point makes the most sense. All right, your dollar is nicely pushing though. That's great. Good news. It managed to break through this top. That's what I was hoping for. Now this trade looks good. Got good momentum on the 5-minute chart here. So it would be good to see, for anyone who isn't in that trade, I think, to see some kind of ABC correction or bull flag and continuation. That could be another way to capture this. Now, will this be a good break? That's something remains to be seen. Let's see how this hourly candle closes 18 minutes from now. If that's something, anything like this, that could be a good breakout candle, close near the high, retracement of that candle, and continuation. So we're getting a good bounce from this. Let's see if this has steam to push, but I like how it's going now, I think, obviously, and pretty good chance now, I would say, of a good breakup. But anyhow, this hourly is not closed as yet, so I want to really be cautious. Let's wait 18 minutes still and see how this candle closes. That will give us more information. If price does stall, by the way, at 112 and shows, for instance, weakness here, I would say if by the end of the trading day, let's take a look at the pivot points. R2 is 112, so it might not get to, and my target is at R3, so it might not get at R3. R3 is pretty far move. So if it stalls at 272 target, doesn't get there, if my target is not hit by the end of London close, I will take whatever profit is on the table at that moment where price is. If it stalls, if it goes up here and makes some movement like that, where 5-hourly candles don't break this top, I will also take market exit. I will be flexible, and I'm not going to keep hanging on this target forever. I just have that target for the moment, but I'm willing to take profit earlier. Anyhow, I have plenty of margin. I have a 61 R2R set up at this moment. So if price doesn't show enough momentum, obviously I'd be glad to take 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 or a different ratio. So as price develops, I will be flexible. If it doesn't show enough momentum or it doesn't push fast enough throughout the trading day, then I would adjust the exit. Pound is also bouncing here. Likes to make these whipsaws, as you see here, like down, up, early in the day. All right, dollar yen. Yeah, this not breaking. It's close to breaking here, but I like to see a candle that's majority of the candle below this trend line. 5-minute chart, that's always a bit tricky anyhow with breakouts, but it didn't qualify. And now you're seeing a bounce. So let's see how price responds to the 50 fib. Pound yen also, as I said, we want to see a bit of retracement. So we're getting that actually as we speak. Let's see how it responds around 159.80 here. These bottoms here. All right, enough about the pound. Perhaps let's take a look at the Aussie. We see good 4-hour break above this resistance. AUDUSD is a trade I took yesterday too. I took a long somewhere in here, had some profit, moved it to break even, then got taken out. That was an intraday trade, so that's okay. After this pullback, though, it did continue higher, as you can see. Now a clear push above resistance, hooking back to that broken resistance, which could be now support. making kind of a bull flag. So I think that this could be a potential for upside too, considering these factors. Let's see. Yeah, it's at the pivot point as well. So I think that this actually right here could be a trade. So I'm going to take a good 15-minute bounce. We got a lot of things riding here. It's basically an uptrend at this moment. It's still correcting. It's a corrective uptrend, but because the moving averages were still below the long-term moving average, but we got a channel at least. We broke above resistance. We have momentum. Made a pretty decent pullback. This master candle still intact. Back to tops. Got a bit of a bounce here. Good 15-minute candle. So yeah, is this correction over? I'm not sure, but I would put the stop loss here, I guess. Yeah, probably below this bottom. I was doubting about this candle, but or let me go below this candle low. Probably that should be enough. This candle low. All right, if we put a fib from here to here, we hit the minus 61.8 target already. I was too late for that, but no, we didn't. Well, we almost hit it. What else? 50 fib bounce, 2. All right, so next thing is that it needs to break, because this could, the annoying thing about trading here is that this could actually just keep correcting like that and then bounce later down. So the break would be the confirmation. This is the break we need. Price is above the daily pivot. That's great. So it bounced at the pivot actually, which is a good support as well, good confluence. For confirmation break, we need price probably to break above M3, 72.78. 72.78, let's see. So we would like to see price basically break the trend line, go up to here, maybe even push through that, preferably. They'll probably make a correction, and then hopefully we'll see the follow through. All right, what else? Kiwi is doing the same thing, a bit faster. It broke this channel too. Good momentum here. Bit of a wick on the 4-hour, but still looks like it's continuing. But anyhow, the Aussie, I'm in the Aussie, so I probably will not take both. But maybe the Kiwi would have been better, I don't know. But this has already kind of moved away from the bouncing spot. Let's see what the AUD New Zealand says. AUD New Zealand. It's quite choppy. Bullish candle. Does not looks not so harmful for either Aussie or Kiwi, so that's okay. So anyhow, that should be fine. At least as it stays in this triangle, that should not be a big factor. So what else can we look at? Euro AUD. Let's see. All right, that was a trade I took yesterday too. That was a swing trade. Made 93 pips. I took a trade well, let me show you quickly here. There. So I took the trade in here, put the stop loss was very close, but I managed to survive. Just a few pips here, but still hanged in there. That was really close though. And I had the target aimed at the minus 61.8. That was a swing trade I took, as you can see, and now it's bouncing off that target pretty aggressively. So that was a swing trade throughout the Asian session that I took I guess somewhere in New York session. Yeah. What now? Let's take a look. What kind of pattern is this? This is 30-minute or 15-minute actually, probably. Good momentum to the downside. I'm surprised about the strength of this upside momentum, actually, considering the downside momentum. But the euro is really pushing. And well, to me, it still looks like it's going back to resistance. What do you guys think? What do you guys and girls think? I think that consider it's still strong momentum, but I mean, you would say that this is getting into a heavy resistance zone. What do you think? Let's take a look where the pivots are. I think the candle highs here and the bottoms have to have some effect at one point or another. We got good momentum. So we're getting into an interesting situation. Momentum upside, strong resistance zone, I would say nearby. So let's see how price responds when it gets in this box. If, for instance, on a 50-minute chart, I'd like to see a bit of weakness here. That means, for instance, 5 to 6 candles not able to break this high, hook back, that could be weakness for downside. But I would definitely like to see a bit of exhaustion, maybe even hourly charts and pin bar actually, because of the momentum that we're seeing to the upside. Pound odd is not closing at the moment. We've got 7 minutes left, not closing near the low. So it looks like we're going to see a bit of that pound retracement. Euro dollar pushing further indeed against the dollar as well. Aussie not getting much push through, staying around there. All right. So anyhow, let's continue. Pound odd, I don't think it's going to break, to be honest, but we got 7 minutes left. Okay, 7 minutes left. Let's see some questions. Has the tide for the dollar strength been turned now? Now the market realized it's not really possible for a Fed rate hike in June. Yes, it's possible. It's still, I think, up in the air regarding this momentum to the downside. We see dollar strength, of course, pretty strongly kick into the market here with euro dollar this fall, which seems impulsive to me, but that does not mean everything. It could be an A, it could be a 1. It's still very up in the air, I would say. It could be both. So from this point of view, I think that this is also strong momentum. At this point, I don't think we can really conclude whether it is a retracement or it's a reversal. I think what we can say is that there is a good chance that there's going to be a bounce in this area. Support, divergence. I think it depends on future price. I think if we get a move up like this, and then one more down move, and then we get a bigger bounce, then this is starting to look more and more impulsive anyhow. So then probably wave 2 could be quite deep, it could be quite long in time. So what we can see, for instance, is that the whole wave 2 could take the entire of June, maybe even July, and then the wave 3 could start somewhere August, maybe September, when the rate hike could happen. Let's take a look at that monthly candle, by the way. relatively strong monthly candle, breaking the low of the month before, close near the low. So we could see a bit of retracement of this candle of May, basically, right? Maybe see something like this, push up, but then close near the low, for instance. Then next month up again, then close bearish, and maybe slowly start to build and get bigger downside candles. I don't know, but that, considering last month's bearish candle, that could certainly be a potential here. But ultimately, we're still at support here, like that. Typically, support breaks if you get a candle like this in front of it. But before things turn, before things start to fall, what more impulsively, it doesn't have to be this month. Pound dollar monthly is not looking as bearish. Although the daily is very bearish, and I do think we'll get a momentum continuation from that. And once again, if you have a strong bearish candle like this in front of momentum, that trend line should break. But considering the weekly and monthly, it doesn't, for the moment, look like a very strong, that this is a reversal. It looks more like a retracement, actually. This bottom could be key, for the long term at least. Let me take a look at the dollar yen here a bit better. Let's see. Looks like a potential turnaround here. We've got 1 minute left to the top of the hour. Then we should, let's see, when do we get new 4-hour candles? Two more. I'm still going to wait with that short, because look at this hourly. It looks like a doji, so that doesn't really look that great. It could easily break the high of this hour if it's like that. All right, we'll wait 1 more minute, and let's see how this is. All right, this should be soon. There we go. Doji. So I think doji. Well, it could be a short, but maybe I'd rather still wait, probably. Let it hit the 50. It's kind of hanging in between. It kind of missed the 50 a bit. The pivot is slightly higher. This pivot point is at 61.8 fib. I'd rather wait for this area, a bit higher, a bit more cautious on this one. Or if it fails to break this high, maybe 5-6 candles from now, for instance, that could be a different story. But for the moment, we'd rather wait for the break of this channel or a push up to the pivot point. All right, so that decision has been made. So let's see. Hourly, good hourly candle, very nice, good strong candle. So now potential scaling could be if it does show a pattern like this and then a continuation. Now, before we get that retracement, it could still push up a bit higher before we get the retracement. Something like that. That's what I would expect today. This oscillator will eventually basically reach its max and make a turn, make a retracement all the way down to the zero line probably, and then turn here, and then that will be the end, and then you'll see of the correction, and you'll see a continuation. That's what I expect. That seems the most likely for me, from my point of view today. So that's considering what's happening now. So, all right, that's basically for today. For those that are in that trade like me, I'm aiming for 112.16 and would be cautious of 112 if it fails to go further. All right, pound USD seems to be indeed bouncing. It's good we stayed out of that short and is going up to the resistance levels that we were talking about around 145, 145.36. That is an area where I would be looking for turnarounds. Now, if it fails to show anything of a turn, like on a 15-minute chart, 5-minute chart, if it really shows good momentum and there's not enough weakness in these resistances, try to stay out, because then who knows? It is at a trend line. Strange things have happened, so it's still a potential bouncing spot too, I guess. It looks like we're going to get a break, but we might retrace yesterday's candle first. So I think that these two fibs are very, very logical spots for a turn, and there should be a good chance of that happening, but it's always good to be on guard. Pivot point is at 145.25. That does make the most sense for the moment. Unless there's very strong momentum, I think that is a good chance of happening. So that's a turnaround later on in the pound USD. Dollar yen turnaround a bit higher as well, or the break of this flag, I would say. Aussie is basically kind of same spot, a bit lower. So I'm in this trade. Let's see if it does bounce or not. If it does bounce, I would like to see a break of this channel. Pound odd, bullish candle as expected, not making a breakout. So it looks like we're going to get bigger retracements. Pound yen 2 going to resistance. And if pound is retracing, then I would not take this one either. It's anyhow very close to Murray Math support. Yeah, that's about it. I think from the things we've looked at. If there are any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, we got tonight webinar with Nennet. He's going to take a look at multiple time frame concept, which we use in these webinars too. We're sometimes probably going a bit too quickly from one time frame to another. So if that's too fast, always let me know. But we use that often. We switch from one time frame to another quickly. We got Thursday price action strategy part 1, and then next week Thursday part 2. So I hope to see you in those webinars. Regarding waves, you can find my wave analysis daily around 7 a.m. normally speaking, anywhere between 6:30, 7 is the standard time. At the very max, typically 8 a.m. Central European time. And you can go to analytics, click on wave analysis, and you can see what I'm suggesting. This is what I think is the most probable count, but it doesn't mean that all counts necessarily are the same. Some counts seem more likely to me than others. I should have actually some barometers saying, like, I have 50%, I think this is very likely or less likely, or it's the best guesstimate, which means that it's not really, this particular wave count does not seem that particularly strong. It's vulnerable to change, right? That depends. This is always the most likely, but some wave counts just are basically more sturdy than others at certain spots, certain behaviors. It's easier to interpret. Swing high, swing lows. Sometimes it's less clear, but this is always the most likely. And yeah, I think that definitely try it out. Write me an email if you want more info. Let's see. Oh, you're odd. We talked about the turnaround here as well, by the way. Let's see how that reacts. Strong 1 hour candle. It would be good to see a bearish candle on the hourly. So if you are interested in venturing out to wave analysis, I definitely recommend it as a supportive tool. And it's not as scary as you might think. It is just looking at swing highs, swing lows, momentum correction, chart patterns, and connecting those dots and making a story out of it. And therefore, it's not as scary as you think. So use that email if you have any follow-up questions. And you can use it as a supportive tool. And it might, as someone said, might be indeed a suggestion, but really everything is an interpretation. So I think that if you're already looking at momentum correction, you are a lot closer to wave analysis than you might think. All right, no questions. So thanks a lot, folks, for joining. If you are interested, by the way, I have an extra bonus webinar with Nanette at the top of the hour at 11 a.m. And let me quickly grab the link. All right, there we go. It's in the chat. So I hope to see you then. That's top of the hour. Thanks again, and talk to you soon. Cheers.